The Foolish Fir Tree, a Christmas Poem by Henry Van Dyke. A little fir grew in the midst of a wood, contented and happy, as young trees should. His body was straight, and his boughs were clean, and summer and winter the bountiful sheen of his needles bedecked him, from top to root, in a beautiful all-the-year evergreen suit. But a trouble came into his heart one day, when he saw that the other trees were gay in the wonderful raiment that summer weaves of manifold shapes and kinds of leaves. He looked at his needles, so stiff and small, and thought that his dress was the poorest of all. Then jealousy clouded the little tree's mind, and he said to himself, "It was not very kind to give such an ugly old dress to a tree. If the fays of the forest would only ask me, I'd tell them how I should like to be dressed, in a garment of gold to bedazzle the rest." So he fell asleep, but his dreams were bad. When he woke in the morning, his heart was glad, for every leaf that his boughs could hold was made of the brightest beaten gold. I tell you, children, the tree was proud. He was something above the common crowd, and he tinkled his leaves as if he would say to a peddler who happened to pass that way, "Just look at me now. Don't you think I am fine, and wouldn't you like such a dress as mine?" "Oh, yes," said the man, "and I really guess I must fill my pack with your wonderful dress." So he picked the golden leaves with care, and left the little tree shivering there. "Oh, why did I wish for golden leaves?" the fir tree said. "I forgot that thieves would be sure to rob me in passing by. If the fairies would give me another try, I'd wish for something that cost much less, and be satisfied with glass for my dress." Then he fell asleep, and, just as before, the fairies granted his wish once more. When the night was gone, and the sun rose clear, the tree was a crystal chandelier, and it seemed, as he stood in the morning light, that his branches were covered with jewels bright. "Aha!" said the tree, "this is something great," and he held himself up very proud and straight. But a rude young wind through the forest dashed, in a reckless temper, and quickly smashed the delicate leaves, with a clashing sound that broke into pieces and fell on the ground, like a silvery shimmering shower of hail, and the tree stood naked and bare to the gale. Then his heart was sad, and he cried, "Alas, for my beautiful leaves of shining glass! Perhaps I have made another mistake in choosing a dress so easy to break. If the fairies only would hear me again, I'd ask them for something both pretty and plain. It wouldn't cost much to grant my request. In leaves of green lettuce I'd like to be dressed." By this time the fairies were laughing, I know, but they gave him his wish in a second, and so, with leaves of green lettuce, all tender and sweet, the tree was arrayed from his head to his feet. "I knew it!" he cried. "I was sure I could find the sort of suit that would be in my mind. There's none of the trees has a prettier dress, and none as attractive as I am, I guess." But a goat, who was taking an afternoon walk, by chance overheard the fir tree's talk. So he came up close for a nearer view. "My salad!" he bleated. "I think so too. You're the most attractive kind of tree, and I want your leaves for my 5 o'clock tea." So he ate them all without saying grace, and walked away with a grin on his face, while the little tree stood in the twilight dim, with never a leaf on a single limb. And he sighed and groaned, but his voice was weak, he was so ashamed that he could not speak. He knew at last that he had been a fool To think of breaking the forest rule, And choosing a dress himself to please, Because he envied the other trees. But it couldn't be helped. It was now too late. He must make up his mind to a leafless fate. So he let himself sink in a slumber deep, And he moaned and he tossed in his troubled sleep, Till the morning touched him with joyful beam, And he woke to find it was all a dream. For there in his evergreen dress he stood, A pointed fir in the midst of the wood. His branches were sweet with a balsam smell, His needles were green with the white snow fell, And always contented and happy was he, The very best kind of a Christmas tree.